Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show. As first responders, we risk our lives every day. Our financial security is under attack. Our pensions are in a state of emergency. A single on-duty incident can alter or erase our earning potential instantly and forever. We are the heroes of society. We are self-reliant and we need to take care of our own financial future. The Heroic Investing Show is our toolkit of business and investing tactics on our mission to financial freedom.
Hello and welcome to episode 146 of the Heroic Investing Show. This is a podcast for first responders, members of the military, veterans, and anyone looking to improve their financial future and gain some freedom with their time. We teach America's heroes how to build passive income, build their startup business, and safely grow wealth through real estate and other alternative investments. We help current and prior first responders put protections and systems in place to enable them to build a life where they can focus on their passion, that service or product that they are uniquely gifted to share with the world, improving the world around them and their own personal economy by getting compensated for it. Giving back time to be with family, focus on those hobbies they enjoy, and just enjoying life at a higher level. My name is Gary Pinkerton, and I co-host this show with Jason Hartman. Today we're going to talk with probably the most patriotic man that I've met in a really long time, Dr. Scott Magill. Dr. Magill is initially a Marine enlisted individual, seen combat in a few different scenarios. He then transitioned to being a doctor in the Army Medical Corps and served a full career as a doctor. Then transitioned into civilian life and spent several decades doing the same thing as an OBGYN specialist. So Dr. Magill has expertise across the board, but one thing that he has, I think, a fire that was lit early in his life and has never squelched is his passion for liberty, his passion for preserving what our founding fathers put in place in our Constitution. I share his passion there. Probably most Americans share his passion. Hopefully we do. One of the things on his website, and I'll give you that link now, the title of it is Veterans in Defense of Liberty. And the actual website is the acronym for that, which is VIDOL, and then it follows with America.org, so VidalAmerica.org. And you just go to kind of the About Us page, but there's a tremendous number of just video, YouTube type videos from Dr. Magill talking about the issues, trying to get interested and concerned individuals to follow in different challenges and fights that are going on out there to preserve our Constitution, preserve the ideals of the Founding Fathers. On his site, he says that we come together as veterans in defense of liberty in one accord, as one body, as one voice, and with one purpose, bearing the authority entrusted to us by our founding fathers and recognizing that liberty is endowed by our Creator and protected by our Constitution. We pledge to protect ourselves, each other, our posterity, our states, and our country by defending our Constitution as a contract, not a living document, from all abuses of power, violations, and tyrannical acts, from within or from without our nation and our government. So you probably recognize some of those words, but he follows it with recognizing that we pledge, as did our founders, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, that liberty and those passionate principles which are America shall not perish from the earth. And then he puts in big words, not on my watch, not on our watch, meaning we, the veterans, the active veterans, are the living veterans who are actively in pursuit of preserving liberties. So he takes a controversial approach in some cases. He pokes a stick at the bear on some topics. And, I think that is all very healthy and what makes America great. So I think you're really going to appreciate Dr. Magill. I think just hearing his voice here and some of the current issues that he's challenged with and why he's doing this will cause you to go to his website and just gain a lot of value from the tremendous leadership that comes from our veterans out there today of all ages. And it's really impressive to see that happening at the Naval Academy. Our mission statement talks about being a leader in command, citizenship, and government, so continuing to be leaders after we've retired. So I think Dr. McGill just does a great job of demonstrating that for us. I think the specific topics that we're in on this conversation are interesting. Some of them are contemporary, but again, it's just intended to introduce you to the great man and to kind of nudge you to his website to see what topics are of interest to you that you can help support and maybe help pick up the torch and carry it for a little bit. We're going to join in right in the middle of this conversation. I had a recording issue at the beginning. He's talking about why veterans should be interested in his website or his missions, and then gives an example of really what kind of current topics they're talking about. And then we'll get into a little bit more of an introduction in the middle as I get the recording all figured out. But you can hear just fine on this one. It just starts out a bit odd. So we're going to jump right into the middle of Dr. McGill talking about why he did this site for veterans and why veterans should be interested in these issues.
It's interesting, 56% of the signers of the Constitution were veterans. Before 1813, I believe it was like 800 veterans served in the judicial, legislative, or executive branches of our government. They form the bridge, if you would, for the desire for freedom and the first truly recognized constitutional republic, which allowed man to be free. And our heritage is noble. And if we are true to that, we are the foundation. We veterans are the foundation of freedom in the world. I mentioned just a little while ago, it doesn't really matter if the issues we're fighting are international affairs, national affairs, Second Amendment rights. Those are all veterans issues because it's a society and the culture that we're trying to defend. That makes sense? Well, right now, you might be interested in knowing that one of the things that we're really fighting for right now is the Peace Cross or the Bladensburg Cross issue. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, please go ahead and go into it a little bit.
Yeah, the Bladensburg Cross is a 40-foot cross that was built by the American Legion for the Gold Star families in 1920, remembering or commemorating the men and women in that county, Bladensburg, Maryland, just about 20 miles out of D.C., that did not come home from World War I, and their names were inscribed on it. It was subsequently taken over through eminent domain by the state of Maryland, and is now in the middle of a large intersection. The American Humanist Association then filed suit that the cross violated the non-existent separation of church and state. Lower court said it can stand. The court went to the Fourth Circuit Appellate Court, which ruled that it had to come down. Kelly Shackelford with First Liberty Institute has been defending the cross. We are writing the amicus brief in it at this time for the Supreme Court and then once we write it, we're going to have a piece in several papers and then a rally and a press conference at the cross itself, trying to get the point across to the Supreme Court that this is not a can of worms they want to open. Because the problem is, what else is within the purview of the Fourth Circuit is Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah.
And they have already targeted, I think, 3 or 4 crosses in Arlington that will have to come down. And I think this is just that, as well as I do, that's hallowed, very hallowed ground. And if Arlington goes, every veteran cemetery in the country, or maybe in the world, goes.
Yeah.
My question is something they never brought up, but I think my question is, do veterans who gave their last ounce of courage, if you would, do our brothers not have freedom of speech in perpetuity? Because this was the family of those who gave all to put up that cross.
Right.
And that's a freedom of speech issue. And are you telling me that America no longer allows our veterans who die for our freedom to have freedom of speech in perpetuity? An interesting concept I've never heard before.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never heard that one contemplated, but that is both interesting and a bit sobering, that we can erase the history and the sacrifices of individuals, members who have served. Dr. Magill and everyone out there, we're speaking with Dr. Scott Magill. Dr. Magill, as I said in the introduction that I will add to this, is a served U.S. Marine, a proud member of the U.S. Army as a doctor, and served a full career in civilian life as an OBGYN and delivered 9,000 babies, he said at the beginning. Runs an organization that tries to serve 22 to 25 million veterans in America. And that organization is called Veterans in Defense of Liberty. Did I get all that right, Doc?
You got it right on the money, Gary.
Awesome. So I brought everybody up to speed because I really don't know how much of this was recorded, but we're good now. And so you were talking about the purpose of your organization, and I've certainly read and watched videos, and I invite all of the members who are listening to this to go to your website. It's really an inspiring place. You take the time to record many, many videos on right to bear arms and many other civil liberties. Just amazing efforts that you put forth there. And you're driven by a desire to give back, I think, still, right? And to defend a republic that you have always believed in.
Yeah, absolutely. I always think back on the 500-year lead concept, from the time they walked out of the convention, Constitutional Convention, that lady asked Benjamin Franklin, what kind of a government have you given us, sir? And he said, a republic, madam, if you can hold on to it.
Right.
From that time, we went from riding, transportation by horseback and lighting houses with flame and heating with fireplaces. In 200 years, we went to the moon. That's because man was finally, for the first time in the history of the world, able to be free.
Right.
And that freedom has allowed us, both you and I and everybody that's listening, the ability to do whatever they want to do. But when you take that extra step and you say, there is a greater cause than self, and there's a greater being that we have to answer to, and you step into a uniform, I think that's a very special character that is willing to do that. Not a character, but the character of the person. There's some very special characters in the military, too. That's not what I meant. But and it is a desire to give back. It is a desire to do what's right, and to, I get really tired of people that will say, well, they died for our freedom, they died for our liberty. Gary, I say, nobody ever died for my freedom or died for my liberty, but they died so that freedom and liberty would extend to the very end of time. And we are we're the caretakers of it right now. And we know what that means to be the caretaker if you've been willing to lay your life on the line for it. And that doesn't go away just because we hang up the uniform for the last time. And I think most of the veterans understand that. I don't often quote JFK, but he had a great comment one time. He said, in the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. And I think we're there. Or Thomas Jefferson, who a lot of people disagree with, but I love the line he said when he said, love your neighbor as yourself, love your country more than yourself.
Right.
And I think we understand that.
Yeah, I agree. One of my mentors' name is Patrick Donahoe at Paradigm Life. And he and I work, financial services and trying to help people get back to kind of the basics. And the reason I'm quoting him or talking about him is he just put out a book today. So this is very timely. And it goes back to one of the comments you said. He quotes in there John Locke's, his treatise, if you will, in England during the social revolutions of the 19th century. His comment is that everyone is entitled to the rights of life, liberty, property, and humanity's undeniable prosperity. And that really is what created the same phrase in our Constitution, although we changed it to pursuit of happiness because I think pursuit of property was probably going to be misunderstood. But this is Patrick. He comments, we're not reading and writing by candlelight, traveling on horseback, being warmed solely by a fireplace, fending off life-threatening diseases, or questioning where our food will come from tonight. And kind of the same comments you made. the advances of our world are all traced to these three simple words. They create the ideal environment for human genius to be exercised to conquer the inefficiencies of the world. And so, the reason I brought that up is because it's really what you're saying, and it's what your organization is about. And you commented, I think before the recording was going, that when we take the oath to defend the Constitution, we're not defending a piece of paper. We're defending the ideals and the society that it's created. And it is your organization's goal, if I understand it, and certainly my personal mission and Patrick's mission in writing this book, that we continue to enable a society with all of its warts that defend the ideas of a republic, right? And the freedoms for people to prosper, right? And that's how we got to the moon, I think is what you're saying, is that people were allowed to dream, to put in place things that they had the freedom, and they were able to protect their property, meaning that if they created something, they would get compensated for it and their life would be enriched.
Sure. We forget that this is the first time in history that that's actually existed.
Right. America is the first time that a republic has actually been tested and succeeded.
Yeah.
And I think those who serve in foreign wars are attempting to help spread that across the globe, to all peoples.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And you know as well as most everybody that has served, American exceptionalism is real. It's a whole lot different than a lot of the third world countries that we've been in.
Right.
And God bless everyone that wore the uniform, because that's why we are still what we are.
Right. Some of that's rule of law, confidence that you can express yourself. But the other is just the environment, the society that enables people to dream.
Absolutely.
And kind of circling that back to what this audience, what I try to bring to this audience is the concept of having the confidence to go out and chase your dreams. You have done something that most people in America have not done, which is, set yourself aside and serve the greater good, the community, the protection of our liberties. But now maybe it's your turn to pursue your dreams if they go beyond, service in the military. So how about, you did that. I'm starting to do that. I'm only 2 years into my, my personal company and business. But any other thoughts and recommendations for, I don't remember now, I don't think I caught much of your first recommendation, which was to go into the real world with confidence that your ability to overcome adversity and persevere are incredible strengths that cause members of the military to continue to succeed. And you mentioned that many members that signed the Constitution and that were in the Continental Congress, a large percentage were military veterans, just kind of reinforcing that we persevere, we reach heights of importance and positions where we can make a difference. But what else is out there? What else did you learn when you started to run your own business or your career as a doctor?
I think that I guess a lot of it falls back to the reality, and I forget who said it, that a life lived for others is a life well lived.
Yeah.
And we have spent 2 years to 30 years living a life for others in the military. And that is very special. And I remember thinking one time when I finally got out of a residency, I did my residency at Triple Army Medical Center in Honolulu. And then I was the chief of OB at Fort Riley. And I remember thinking, this is really good because I don't have to really worry about money for the most part. All I have to do is worry about taking care of my patients. And I think that extends across all professions, across all jobs. If you worry just about the money, you're not ever going to, in my case, if I just worried about finances, I wouldn't have patience necessarily.
Yeah.
But if you worry about doing the job and doing it for others and doing it for the reasons you are driven to do it, then everything else will fall in place. Actually, I was at a little restaurant, a Mexican restaurant in northern Missouri, and it was really small, and there wasn't a lot of customer concern, obvious, in the restaurant. And I finally said to this guy, if you worry about your customers, the money, when there were very few people in there, I said, if you worry about your customers and you make sure they're happy and they enjoy their stay here, you don't have to worry about your finances because that will come. But if you worry about your finances, then your customers won't come. And I think that's true in any walk of life. we get tied up. Do what you love to do. As I said earlier, somebody once said, if you do what you love to do, you don't have to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Do what your passion is. And most veterans have got the courage to step out and do what's necessary. Do what you want to do, and everything else will fall in line.
Yeah, and most veterans have the staying power to keep at it, right? To keep going until it succeeds. That's awesome advice. Right. I follow Zig Ziglar's work. I'm a huge fan of him, and one of his primary sayings is very similar to what you said before about focusing on service to others. You can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And I've repeated that to myself for 2 months straight, morning and night, and brainwashed myself with good brainwashing, I guess. But, like you said with that restaurant owner, if you focus on others, you'll be amazed the doors that open, and you don't have time nor a need to focus on yourself and on the finances. There just isn't time for it. You have people breaking down your doors, trying to do things for you or work with you or be around you because they recognize that it's genuine and that you're focusing on them, which is very refreshing today.
It really is. It truly is.
So, yeah. So, Doc,
we have. I think what's important. Maybe one of the important takeaways, Gary, is I really do believe after. It doesn't matter if you serve 2 years in uniform or you retired in uniform. You have acquired the ability and the inner strength to step out into the civilian world and serve others and accomplish anything you want to accomplish, because it comes from inside and it comes from what we have learned and the discipline that we have learned while in uniform.
Yeah, I think that could not be that is a nice bow on this discussion. I think it would be hard to top that. And Doc, I truly appreciate, and I want to push the audience again. Go and check out Dr. McGill's website. It's called Veterans in Defense of Liberty, and it's just absolutely amazing. There's some incredible videos. Thank you so much. Bless you for what you do.
God bless you. Thank you much.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.